I want to talk about a hard news day.
All right.
Ooh. So, I mean, everything was, everything. But it was not only Honduras, it was
What else happened?
Panama, where they had an attempted coup.
Oh, really?
And then,
I've attempted little coups myself.
then there was the bombing at the cemetery in Ireland.
What was that?
Some guy threw a bomb. These people were mourning.
Jesus.
And they chased him and they beat him and the whole thing.
God.
And then there was the murder here, what they're calling an assassination of this guy who used to be an auto racer.
God. Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, so it was overwhelming. You know, Jimmy Cannon used to call the sports department the toy department.
I loved him.
Yeah. I met a guy. After I met Roy Firestone here, I did his show Sports Look on ESPN. Because I have a lot of sports material.
Yeah.
And there was a guy there who was on the show, not the day I was there. And he told me he's writing a play about Jimmy Cannon. Now, it doesn't sound very commercial. But he says
he's got a lot of funny lines. If
he says he's got all his columns going all the way back to
great.
During the war, even. You know, so
great. I'd like to. I'll help with that if I can. I loved Jimmy Cannon. Nobody asked me, but remember that?
Yeah.
Great humorist.
Oh, Jesus.
Jim Murray out here is a great humorist, but he doesn't get credit as a humorist. He's brilliant.
No. He does some funny stuff too.
Tell him Steve's not here. He's washing his hands.
Live from Hollywood and from New York, it's the Steve Allen Show. Coming up this hour, Bob Einstein, Herb Sargent, Steve Landesberg. This is Mark Simone. And now, here's Steve Allen.
Steve's not here. He's washing his hands, Mark.
Again? He's not
Steve
here?
Landesberg. No, he's washing his hands. He has all this grime. He was fixing some trucks this morning.
I know.
That's what he does.
He's away from his desk.
He's always looking for something new to do. You know, he was fixing trucks and talking into a tape recorder at the same time.
Well, could we leave a message for him, maybe?
Well, yeah. He'll be in eventually. How long is this show? 3 hours?
Yeah, we can leave a number.
He's got a tremendous amount of grime. He kept saying the word lava. And I don't know. That was the last I saw him. But I'll do the best I can, and other people will be wandering in off the street. I think Brando's coming in later.
All right, well, we'll stop for just a moment.
Marlon's an old friend of Steve's and wants to talk about
we'll be back
his diet.
In just a moment with more of the Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network.
Debbie? Tell Mark we will do the Father Mulcahy thing on starting in the middle of page 18.
Okay.
In fact, we can get to it right after and say, he'll say, is he there yet? You know, and then Steve, you can say, no, he's still washing his hands, but Father Mulcahy just walked in.
All right. Okay.
Great. Steve will lead us into that, lead us not into Penn Station.
This is St. Patty's Day today. Is that why you have Father Mulcahy? Or is that a coincidence?
No, it's why. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You never know, you know.
That's true.
You don't know.
No, that's very
If you
true.
like, can I say Father Jim?
Don't do that first, though. It'll do.
No, I won't. No, I wouldn't dare.
Do it after for
I
20
would,
minutes.
I will. I'd love. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
Calling all cars.
Hey ho.
From the London House in downtown Chicago. Yes.
Do you kind of cover the fact that don't say today, say it's around or about St. Patrick's?
Good.
Time of St.
Yeah.
Patrick's.
On some of our stations, some of these days, you're going to miss me, honey. All right, good.
And you'll be saying that later, you know. Okay.
After you'll be saying.
Well, Father, will you be going up in here?
We talk like the black folks. We say, I be.
Yes.
I be going there, yes.
Where you be going, I be going over there.
Faith and Bigora. I be Bigora now about an hour and a half.
Yes. Oh, fine.
Hi, this is Steve Allen. We hope you're enjoying the show on the NBC Radio Network, and we invite you to tune in at this time every day.
And now, once again, ladies and gentlemen, here's Steve Allen.
Well, Steve isn't back yet. This is Steve Landesberg and Mark. Steve is still washing. I think he's taking a shower. He found tremendous amounts of grime.
Oh,
over his
that's
entire
right.
body.
It's March already. I forgot.
He was fixing trucks and things.
Well, we do have Bob
Wait a
Einstein.
minute. Somebody just walked. Mark, somebody just walked into the studio. Father Mulcahy just came in the studio.
Father Mulcahy.
Well, hello,
Wait a minute.
Steve.
There he is. Hello, Father. How are you?
Father, go out for a minute. We don't have your music yet.
Oh, you don't?
Oh, I don't need music.
Now you can come
Oh,
in.
there it is.
Ah, there it is. Isn't that sweet?
So, Father, I think you're leaking.
I make me own music, you know.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, Father Mulcahy.
Where's Mr. Allen today?
He'll be in soon. He's washing up
Ah,
and down.
making his ablutions, as we say in the
Well, yeah, I didn't want to
Church.
get into that, Father, but
He's probably-
I'm not of your faith, but we can talk about that later.
ablutions are okay.
You know, he's
How are you, Mark, today, me bucko?
Pretty good. He's not here. He's probably out eating again as usual.
I wouldn't put it past him, or if you did, you'd snap at it.
But you know, Father,
Father, you're a caution.
especially here in New York, there's so many Irish restaurants that have opened up. They're all over the place now.
Yes, I've noticed the same thing myself, you know, but have you noticed this, Mark, that not a damn one of them is actually owned and operated by an Irishman? In the old days, they was all operated by the real people. It's a mystery to me why all the Irish restaurants is opening up, because the Irish population itself in New York, you know, has been going down for years.
It has?
Oh, yes, it's been going down to the Jersey Shore, it's been going down to Florida to retire, you know.
Yeah.
And I got to say this much. The few Irish that remains in New York, to me, they seem no great shakes. Although some of them suffer from the great shakes, I've noticed that. Believe me, they can hardly lift a drink to their lips without splashing most of it on their vests. But I'll tell you, they're not making Irishmen like they used to. Why, in the movies in the old days, for example, there was such great Irishmen as Dennis Morgan. There was all kinds of
Father,
wonderful-
Father,
Yeah.
I hate to break this bad news to you, but Dennis Morgan was not Irish. That was just a stage name. He was actually Swedish.
Oh, was he now? Well, that means he was probably a Lutheran as well. Ah, well. Good cess to him. But at least there was the great Irish actresses. We had the likes of Maureen O'Hara and Maureen O'Sullivan.
What, did you say Murine?
Yeah, that I did because she was a sight for sore eyes. But we once had a lot of great Irish Catholic entertainers, don't you know? Jackie Gleason, for example.
But
He
Father,
was a wonderful.
you know, I understand that although Jackie Gleason was indeed a great entertainer, he did leave the church.
And don't I know that? I was there the day he left the church. In fact, I watched him do it. He left the church, he walked across the street to the drugstore, and he went around the corner to the saloon. But he eventually returned to the church, I've heard tell.
Well, Father, we hear a lot about Irish racehorses, Irish whiskey, the Irish sweepstakes, but we
That's true.
never seem to hear much about Irish cooking. In this country, the only Irish food most people could even name is corned beef and cabbage. Why is that?
Well, Jimmy McPartlin used to cook, you know, about on a third chorus sometimes. But seriously, you know, corned beef and cabbage. Thank you, Mr.
That's all right, Father.
Landesberg. Yes. Corned beef and cabbage, as I was saying with my mouth, really is not Irish food, at least in the old country. In fact, any old country. No matter where you go in the world, you won't find a hell of a lot of corned beef and cabbage, except in Chicago and New York and Philadelphia, Boston, a few places like that.
That's amazing. In other words, in Ireland, people don't eat corned beef and cabbage.
Well, of course they eat it. What do you think they do? Smoke it? What I mean is it's not indigenous, don't you know?
What is indigenous?
Well, Dungeness crab is indigenous.
Dungeness is indigenous?
Doodah.
Doodah.
I like the lilt of that, I must say. We Irish are very big on lilt, you know. Makes a nice home permanent, too. But no, in the old country, in the old days, seriously, the Irish knew nothing of corned beef and cabbage. The cabbage we had, but who could afford beef, for God's sake?
So what did you eat?
Corn chips and cabbage. That's how the rumor got started. We was largely vegetarians in those days, you know. Potatoes. That was about all there was to it. God bless the potatoes.
Well, the potato is a very nutritious foodstuff.
Well, whether it's stuffed or not, it ain't bad, you know.
But since you didn't have to much to eat in the old days except potatoes, you must have developed many creative ways of serving them.
Oh, yeah, that we did. Or we did that, if you'd rather have me talk straighter, you see. Let me see how many ways there was. How do I eat thee? Let me count the ways. That was a great poem, I think. As a poet once said, yes. Well, now, we served hot potatoes, and we served cold potatoes.
And?
And that was about it, I'm afraid. Oh, no, we knew about French fried potatoes, of course. We were no ignoramuses, you know, but we couldn't get any Frenchmen to come in and fry them for us, so we had to do without.
Ah.
Yes.
Well, Father, we often hear the expression, the gift of gab, as applied to the Irish. And
Yes, the gift of gab.
I believe you Irish do have the gift of gab. Do you agree?
No, I don't. I mean, that means I disagree, but I don't like to sound too disagreeable. The gab, that we got, God knows. But it was no gift, believe me. We had to declare it and pay for, taxes and all that stuff. And when you get right down to it, and I know how you young fellas like to do that, what's the difference between malarkey and blarney and the gift of gab, for God's sakes?
Well, now, speaking of Blarney, have you personally ever kissed the Blarney Stone?
That I have not, Mr. Simone, and not only have I not done it, I never will do it. Kissing the Blarney Stone was one of the stupidest customs known to man, and even women probably knew quite a lot about that sort of thing. You know what a stone is, don't you?
Yeah.
Answer me that. Mr. Landesberg, you know what a stone is?
Yes, Father.
Thank you very much, young fellow. Well, when kissing time rolls around, would you rather kiss a pretty young Colleen or a little bouncing baby, or, I ask you now, a rough piece of granite? It's ridiculous. And the way you have to kiss a stupid Blarney Stone is stupid altogether. You see, what you have to do, first of all, and I know you folks who've been in the old country will bear me out, and I've been borne out in many a stretcher. You have to go all the way to Blarney Castle, which on Irish Airlines is no laughs, believe me. Sitting in them little seats and all. And on the way, you have to stop at Shannon Airport. Now, I know Shannon personally. He's got a nice airport. And then you have to buy one of them white turtleneck sweaters that makes you die of the heat, even in the wintertime. And the stupid tam o' shanter you're too embarrassed to wear when you get back to Philadelphia or wherever the hell you're from. And then you finally get, in an old shaky bus, you finally get to Blarney Castle, which is Castle's grows, no great shakes, I'll tell you that. It's a rundown, poor sort of place. And you climb to the top of the tower. And now, are you ready for this, as they say in America? You hang upside down, in danger of your life, and you kiss the stone. Why, hundreds of people been dashed to their deaths, fallen from the stupid tower. The Irish themselves, they have no interest in the Blarney Stone, except as a way to pick up a little pocket change. It's a dumb tourists that go for that stuff. Well, sir, I think I've said me say for now, and I'm going out and look for Mr. Allen himself.
Are you leaving us, Father?
Well, for the interim.
You're marching in a parade today, Father?
No, I missed it. You see, in some of our stations, it's St. Patty's Day. In others...
Oh, I didn't mean the St. Patty's Day parade. I meant any parade.
Oh, I see. Oh, yes.
Dugan's parade?
There's a special parade that Mickey Dugan,
That's right.
me buddy, is former Jesuit, you know.
Yeah, I heard that.
He was unfrocked or defrocked. They caught him wearing a frock, and that did it right then. He never should have made that silly mistake. But anyway, I'll be back a little bit later in the show.
You mean happy hour is over, Father?
Don't be casting aspersions now. But I'll see you all later. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, Steve Landesberg.
Thank you, Father.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Well, there he goes. He's hung up his swizzle stick for a while.
There he goes. What do you think he looks like, Mark?
It's hard to see when he's crawling around on the floor down there.
He's a little guy.
He is?
Just a little guy, yeah.
Sounds so tall.
I know, but he's about 5'1", 5'2".
That's crawling or standing?
Well, he walked out of here. Good-looking man, though.
Hey, Steve, how are you? I'm sorry I'm late.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Allen.
Hello, folks. Well, it's great to be back in America. I'm the happiest man on earth because my little woman said to me just the other night, Steve, she said, they used to do that in vaudeville.
I love that.
That kind of nonsense. It was very peppy.
Yes, sir.
And I want to tell you.
Get you up.
Yes, it does.
Peppy. That's a word my father used to say when we'd go watch some entertainment. She's peppy. Got a lot of pep.
Good.
Well, we have to take a break.
That was all she had, really.
What were you saying, Mark?
So we have to take a break for just a second, but we'll be back in a moment. Bob Einstein will be here in a second.
Oh, good.
And that and more coming up in a moment on The Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network.
Keep touching me, Daniel.
Does the fact that we don't hear anything mean anything, Debbie?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, want to call and ask?
It might be the yeah, that's probably what it was.
There it is.
Particular cart, because I heard it on my flight.
Oh, you did? Oh.
That cart machine, that's what happened before. Remember that they have a cart machine that plays commercials that doesn't work very well, and we don't hear it.
Ah,
You hear it now, right?
I hear something now, yes. One night about 6 months ago, I was in a hotel in Washington, I think. I woke up about 3 in the morning, and I thought of a Father Mulcahy joke, and I started to dictate. And I couldn't stop, and I dictated about 48
Oh,
pages.
gee.
That's what I was just reading.
Yeah.
But that started on page 18, and there was about 3 pages of. It was a weird thing. My brain just
You
kept
woke
doing
up and you were awake, and
stupid
that was it.
Irish jokes
Yeah,
for
that's
about
great.
2 hours, and I went to sleep again.
Oh, yeah. A friend of mine, I saw it in the paper, but I knew I had read that you did this a while ago. You and Alan King debated at Oxford with somebody. Resolved is. Was that fun?
Englishman funnier
Was
than
that fun?
American. It was. I wish I had been able to produce it. I would have made it even more fun. But we were bound by the. It was an actual debate
in
actual
Oxford, yeah.
so we had to go by their rules and stuff. But
And it was
fun.
also their audience.
Oh yeah,
So you couldn't win.
Oh right, yeah. No, that was not never in question. But it made it even more silly for some reason.
Yeah.
They vote by walking through 2 doors.
I heard it.
One says aye, and the other says nay or
Yeah,
some other old word, whatever. I said I'd never worked in an eye, ear, nose, and throat clinic before.
You're listening to the Steve Allen Show. On the line with us, Bob Einstein, star of the Super Dave Osborne Show on Showtime. Also here, Steve Landesberg, Herb Sargent. This is Mark Simone, and here again is Steve Allen.
Hello, Herb.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, Herb.
Hi, Steve.
I have to say 2 Steves.
So that's-
Hello, Steve. Hello, Steve.
And we also have Bob Einstein with us.
Oh, where is Bob? On the phone?
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Herb.
Hi, Bob Arriba.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Debbie
Bob.
and Dick. Hi, Tony. No one said hello to Tony for a long time. I just thought I'd say it.
He's a good guy, Tony. He's good people, ain't he?
Yeah, good people. That's kind of a
And I've got a
Chicago
little
expression.
joke for us all. I don't like to
Oh.
tell jokes, but I do have one for St. Patrick's Day on some of our stations. Who cares
That's-
anymore, some of our stations? Okay, it's today.
Got it.
All right, here it is. Guy walks into a bar.
Yeah.
An Irishman walks into a bar, and he's got a little box with him. And he puts the box down the bar, and he orders a couple of beers, and he's drinking the beers. All of a sudden, the box opens, and a little leprechaun jumps out of the box, runs down to the end of the bar, and finds the biggest truck driver you've ever seen, stands straight up in front of the truck driver, sticks his tongue out, and goes like that. And the truck driver can't believe it, so he grabs the leprechaun and whispers something in his ear and sets him back down in the bar. The leprechaun flies back down in the bar and jumps into the inside coat pocket of the little Irishman. He is shaking in there. And the Irishman said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" The leprechaun can't even talk. And so the Irishman gets up, goes down to the end of the bar, and says to this giant truck driver, "Oh, I have to know, what did you say to my little friend?" He said, "I tell you what I said to him. I told him, if he ever does that again, I'm going to cut off his tallywhacker." And the Irishman said, "Well, don't you know that leprechauns don't have tallywhackers, sir?" And the big guy said, "Well, if he doesn't have a tallywhacker, how does he go to the bathroom?" And the Irishman said, "Usually he just stands up and goes, hello?"
You know that joke goes back to the 14th century. A lot of people don't know that. It was first told by Timmy Dolan in 1422 in Dublin. He was shot immediately after telling the joke. They shot him and hung him.
Oh,
Yes.
is that an old
And they
joke?
throw rocks at his corpse.
Is that an
Bob.
It'll
No,
never.
it's not.
It'll
it's
never
not,
be
it's-
an old joke. It'll never get to be an old joke.
It'll never live to see the day. Bob, you don't seem to understand. You don't seem to grasp. The age of the joke is immaterial.
Uh-oh, I know then what upsets you. I know why you didn't laugh then.
It's filth wallowing time.
No, I didn't feel it was.
I've never heard a
You know,
joke.
if you told that joke in Dublin, you'd get 2 to 5.
I've never,
Laughs or years?
I've never heard a
No,
joke.
2 to 5 years.
No,
You'd be in the
there's no
penitentiary.
question about its age. There's no question about its funniness. It was funny but it was in the most dreadful taste.
Well,
Bob.
I don't know about funny because nobody laughed, though.
To give you an
Well,
idea
they
of
were
how,
shocked.
of
Not
how
in this
bad the
group.
joke
No.
is, he didn't even ring the bell.
No, a shock can get a big laugh, though.
My palsied hand could not clutch the bell. I was
You know, why don't we all
thunderstruck.
go into
You know what would be
therapy
good? Here's
for
an
a minute?
image. No, Bob, great image.
Why don't
Bob
we all
Einstein
lay down
telling
and go
that
into
joke
therapy? Why don't we judge each other for the next 3 hours?
Judgment Day is upon us.
I made an
Repent.
attempt there, and it was feeble, I admit.
Repent of thy sins, Einstein.
I'm trying
Go.
I think maybe Bob forgot that we were actually broadcasting.
Wait a minute. When did you hear that joke?
to.
How long ago did you hear
You
that?
know what? We're spending a long time on it.
Now, let's get into this. I
It's
think
not
it's interesting.
necessary.
The
Why
background.
did you tell us a joke, Bob?
No. When did you first hear that joke?
I can't remember.
It wasn't
Were you a
this
little
morning
boy?
or anything, right?
No, why?
Oh, okay.
No, it was
I
about
personally
14
take-
years ago.
I take Excedrin to that kind of humor,
All right,
especially
well,
on my program.
I'll never tell that joke again on this show.
You
Well,
shouldn't.
what about tomorrow's show?
I possibly will bring it up again. Maybe it'll
Yeah,
be
I'm sure.
funnier.
Yes.
I'll use a different ethnic background.
No,
Maybe it'll
I
work.
suggest our offended viewers send their postcards, as we
Don't
say
send
directly.
postcards. First of all, we don't have viewers.
No, there are a lot
We
of
have
viewers.
listeners, maybe.
There are people staring at their radio.
I know they are, with their mouth agape.
Agape, or agape, as we say in
If you
German.
do that again, we'll cut your tallywhacker off.
No.
Now, wait a
Come
minute.
on.
Oh, now we're going back.
No, I
We're
think-
wallowing, muck and mire.
You know how
Hi,
I
Muck,
could have
hi,
made the
Mire.
joke worse? I could have had Jane tell it. Then I
Just a
really would have
moment.
got no laugh.
I take umbrage.
No, he meant Jane Russell.
Actually,
good.
Actually, let's take a break first and compose ourselves.
Bob, go off.
You know,
and
it wasn't even close to being anything.
We'll continue in a moment with the Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network.
Tallywhacker indeed. Talking about shock.
Yes.
Stop me when I can't go any further, because this is dirty.
All right.
I used to work with a comedy group, the New York City Stickball Team. I was doing stand-up, then I did the group.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Alan Uger, who does Family Ties, was in the group.
Yeah.
We did this bit. I come on with the girl. She's my daughter. And there's two guys cursing. You son of a bitch, you prick, whatever. And I said, hey, fellas, would you mind here? My daughter here just got out of the convent. Would you mind watching your language? She would then say, Daddy, stop, you're embarrassing me. I would interrupt her. She says, Daddy, stop you. And I say, shut up, you cunt. Biggest laugh.
Shock, big laugh, yes.
It was shock, but I think it was also funny.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Hysterical.
It was bad taste because in those days I didn't think, well, there might be 4 people who were offended. I do that now.
Well, in a club, who cares? You know?
Yeah, but I don't do that anymore. But I mean, we did that at Brickman's. They used to have a showcase on Sunday nights, and it was all performers in the
Yeah.
audience, people that worked the mountains, you know.
Yeah.
And they screamed for it could have been a 75-second laugh. You
Sure.
know.
Big joke.
Yeah, but because we never worked in the mountains. But I mean, that was, and some people who were fans, well, that's a shock. You know, you can pull down your pants, and I said, well, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it is funny. Yeah. No,
But I
Bob
stopped.
has been acting very strange last week or so. He's dirty and dirty. He does it partly to bug me, but I hope he's not on.
I would do maybe in my stand-up. I would do maybe 4 minutes, 3 minutes tops with stuff that could be construed as dirty. But it wasn't dirty. It was funny to me. I mean,
Yeah.
it did the work.
Sure.
But
And
then
a lot
one-
depends on the audience too.
Yeah, well, one night I was working in St. Louis, the Westport Playhouse, and they had a lot of subscription people there. And the joke was, which I loved, I actually wrote it at Mike Preminger's house because it happened. It was an ad-lib. I'll tell you.
You're listening to the Steve Allen Show, and once again, here's Steve Allen.
I wrote a new song.
Oh,
Van Nuys.
come to the valley.
Is that how far you got?
That's as far as I got it. As soon as I got to Van Nuys, I got a room for the night, and I'm still here in Van Nuys. For those of you in Boise, Idaho, who think what's so funny about that, Van Nuys, an old Dutch name, is the name of the little real estate subdivision in which we are presently ensconced.
Don Drysdale's from Van Nuys, a great pitcher, now at the Dodgers broadcast.
Yes.
Robert Redford. Remember Lenny Bruce's great line?
What's that?
He was doing Religions Incorporated, and he's on the phone with the Pope. He's one of the, I forget, one of the religious leaders, and all of a sudden you hear he's on the phone. He says, yeah, it's hot in the valley. I mean, it didn't mean I didn't know the valley, but I just loved the line. Yeah, it's hot in the valley.
Yeah. There are local jokes here in the Los Angeles area. People who live in parts of the community that are not the valley, let's say Bel Air or Beverly Hills or West Los Angeles, do put down jokes about the valley, despite the fact that in the valley lived such people as Clark Gable and John Wayne and Bob Hope and a lot of folks.
I lived there for a lot of years, Steve.
Thank you, Clark.
It's all right.
I've always liked your chocolate bar, too.
Thank you. Do you think my ears are too long?
Sound like a little bit like, what's the fella's name that's more growly? Eugene Pallette.
Ah, get your hands off my daughter and give me a hamburger.
Yes, Eugene Pallette indeed. See, young people don't know about Eugene Pallette.
Unless they're hip and they watch old movies.
Yes.
You can watch old movies and know everybody.
That's true.
Yeah.
Two of my favorites were Hugh Herbert.
Shecky Green does.
Shecky Green does a great Hugh Herbert.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yes. And my real favorite among the comic character actors was Frank Morgan. Young people do know him because he was the guy behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz,
which goes on every year. Yeah,
but that was like a minor performance for him. He had bigger roles and funnier roles in many other old movies. He had a brother, Ralph Morgan. They look very much alike. Ralph was totally humorless. A good straight actor, but no...
Really?
Whereas Frank was always wacko behind his eyes. Great dignity and a handsome gentleman. They were both handsome fellows, very distinguished looking. They looked like bankers or senators. But Frank had this, my goodness, yeah.
Nigel Bruce was like that, who did the Sherlock Holmes with Basil Rathbone. He was Watson. And he had that quality, too, of the silliness.
Yes.
And I'm sure the man probably did 20 years of Shakespeare before he ever did Watson.
I was talking to somebody that I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say we have to take a break again.
But go ahead, do the best you
That's
can.
true. Many people have to take breaks. Others can go right all the way to Cairo.
But we'll be back in a moment with more of the Steve Allen Show on the NBC Radio Network.
The line was, one night I'm in the Premingers' house years ago, and she's cursing. His wife is cursing in the kitchen. I can't find the fucking spoons in it. And I said, geez, I never heard my mother talk that way about, silverware. Or my grandmother during the high holidays, I never said, where's the fuck? You only got 5 fucking boxes of matzahs. We got 18 people coming to the fucking sale. Well, I would get screams, and I couldn't wait to do it. So one night, I would start it by saying, do you think modern women curse more than our mothers and grandmothers? And after I did the bit, some guy in there, I said, you mean modern men, don't you? And I realized, so afterwards I said to the manager, do you mind if I do that? He said, no, but a certain amount of people are going to be offended. And you don't mind if I do it? He said, no, but then I never did it anymore. And I don't do any of that.
Made you nervous about it.
I felt badly for that guy
Yeah.
and the 4 people with him. So I said, if I couldn't do it on television, what's the difference?
Yeah, right.
I had a few things like that I loved to do.
Mm-hmm.
I would have a drink of water, always, and it could almost make people say, what are you drinking?
Mm-hmm.
And I would go, seal piss. And now, usually college audience,
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
You're right.
College kids can be more obnoxious than the worst drunk in a nightclub.
Oh, yeah. Especially
if you
3 or
get
4 of them from the same gang.
Those particular, I don't mean the whole audience, but
the worst.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can give you those terrible,
and I would say,
those things.
I would tell them to, hey,
Yeah.
it's just like, I said, you can do it here, but I said, if you go to a nightclub where guys have no necks and they love you, I says, hey, Steve, we love you're an artist. You're on stage perfecting your art, and that kid was interrupting you. We'll see how much he interrupts you when we rip his dick off. That would get a big laugh. All those things I don't do anymore. Yeah. But I used to love them all.
Yeah.
Da 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 da.